A pleasant day to everyone. For our lesson, we have ethical and unethical. So again, this is Miss Jero. Now, in the end of this lesson, you student will be able to first give example of how fairness, accountability, and transparency is practiced in business and non-profit organization. Second, you can also identify the core principles of business ethics. Third, share observations on business policies and unethical business practices. Fourth, distinguish between good policies, practices, and morally unacceptable policies or practices. Next, discuss the component of a code of ethics, and for the last, give example of contents of code of ethics. So after you listen on my discussion, make sure that you search about some of the business code of ethics of a certain businesses. So before we talk about the core principles of business ethics, when we talk about business ethics again, it provide the ethical standards in the workplace. So having a high ethical standards can help to establish credibility and a good image of the organization. So dahil may magandang images or the businesses have credibility, it can attract more customers. And even some of applicant o yung mga gustong magtrabaho sa businesses nila. Why? Because they have a good reputation, and yung mga employees na nandoon na, okay, since they have a good credibility and they have a good images, so yung mga empleyado doon, ang tendency, okay, they become loyal in the company. Now, again, these are the core principles of business ethics. So ito po ay 12, composed of honesty, integrity, giving promises, loyalty, fairness, caring, respect, obeying the law, excellence, being a leader, moral, and also accountable. Now, first, we have honesty. So in honesty, there's nothing like having honest employees in words or even in action. So the company should be honest about the quality of the product, the services offered to the customer. Bakit? Because when the management makes important decision, the employees can sense truthfulness and sincerity. So kapag ka nangyari ito, once na naramdaman ito ng mga empleyado natin, yung mga employees natin, okay, they take their manager words, and customers are happy to do business with a company. Now, so dahil nga alam ng mga empleyado natin kung anong meron sa ating product, and once we deliver it with our employees, obviously yung mga empleyado natin, ayan, ma-deliver rin nila kung ano yung katotohanan sa product or services natin sa ating mga customers. Bakit? Kasi po, ang laging ina-eye dito or laging objective dito is that para po maiwasan yung mga misinterpretation at saka yung exaggeration of features ng product. Okay, so kapag syempre nag-expect si customer about your product dahil for being exaggerated, no, the way you explain your product or services, ang tendency syempre si customers, ano mangyayari? No? Magkakaroon siya ng bad feedback, no, sa business or doon sa product na ino-offer ni business. Second naman po is we have the integrity. So once we talk about integrity, okay, this is having a high level of integrity, means that the company has earned the trust of its stakeholders. Why? Is it because si company, no, nagiging consistent siya on doing their job, in making a decision, and even the character of a company. So these are no pretension. The company can be bold and even can be firm in its decision if the management believe that is doing the right thing. Now, kailan po natin nalalaman or when we saw, no, that these things have integrity? Kapag po they are stick, no, with their decision. Okay, kahit po mahirap yung decision na kailangan natin gawin, we will need to stick with that. Okay? Bakit? Kasi ito yung tamang gawin. Okay? So, the management also has the courage and the strength to admit mistakes. So, the manager who have a high level of integrity have a code of ethics which they believe in and are willing to fight for what is right and true. Next, for number 3, keeping promises. So in here, managers must keep their words and always ensure these promises are not to be broken or not meant to be broken. There are times when managers find it hard to fulfill their commitment, but they have to. They cannot just get out of a situation and a commitment. So meaning, kung ano man yung sinabi mo, no, pakatawanan mo yun. Because if not, syempre, ang nakasalalay dyan is yung integrity. No? Bakit? Kasi syempre kapag kapaiba-iba tayo ng sinasabi, ang tendency, yung ibang taong nakikinig sa atin or pinakikinggan tayo, ay hindi na tayo paniniwalaan. So in number 3 again, we need to keep our promises. For number 4, we have loyalty. Managers should be loyal to the company by not putting their self-interest above anything that will jeopardize the company's position. There should never be any conflict of interest. Employees who decide to leave the company should give a grace period to allow the company to find their replacement. It is also important to keep company information confidential once they leave the company. Loyalty, loyalty begins with respect from people whom they previously worked with. So kapag nagtrabaho na kayo, madalas ito nangyayari. Syempre, we need to we need to upgrade our status, or let's say you want to have a good career, no, or gusto mong tumaas yung sahod mo. So ang tendency, once you do your job na kapag ka tumagal, may pagkakataon na kailangan mong umalis at kailangan mong maghanap ng trabaho, or kailangan mong i-grab, no, yung mas magandang opportunity, no, na nakalahad or naka-offer sa'yo. So once na ito yung nangyari, nag-resign ka na sa company and then you go with your new company, okay, kung ano man yung mga information na meron doon sa old company mo, okay, as much as possible, syempre wag natin yan i-discuss sa ating bagong pinapasukang trabaho. Lalo na po yung mga confidential. Okay? But we can practice naman kung ano yung natutunan natin, no, doon sa previous company na meron tayo. So, once we practice kung ano man yung natutunan natin, makakatulong tayo doon sa bago nating pinapasukang trabaho. Next, for number 5, we have fairness. Once we talk about fairness, yan, by the root word or by the word fair, manager should need to act with impartiality in all their transaction. Okay? Why? They should not exercise their power for their own personal advantages. Yung mga tinatawag natin na power tripping yan. Cannot be yan. Hindi yan po pwede, no? Kasi, bakit hindi siya pwede? Besides sa unethical yan at gawin, okay, nakakaano din yan, nakaka-demotivate din yan, no, sa mga empleyado natin. And also, bakit siya nakaka-demotivate? Siyempre, kapag ka nagpa-power tripping tayo or nagpa-power tripping ang manager, okay, so ang tendency, nagtitake advantage, no, si manager dito sa mga empleyado niya, no? Utos ng utos kahit hindi naman yun part ng kanyang trabaho. So manager should always be open-minded and value the advice and suggestion of others. Ayan. Bakit? Kasi hindi naman po lahat alam natin, no? And at the same time, yung mga empleyado natin, meron silang iba't ibang experience na kung saan pwede nating magamit. So always be open-minded with their suggestion. They should observe what is right and recognize the fact that they do not have a monopoly of knowledge and skills. So, talk about monopoly, nag-iisa or isa lang siyang sinusunod. No. Dapat po, for you to practice fairness, again, the decision must be not only came from you as a manager. Okay? So, yung decision na to, it must be collaborative. Okay? It must be collaborative idea to make a decision or to conclude a decision or to finalize whatever the decision needs to be done in a business. Next naman po is we have caring. Ayan. So, for caring naman, this is the exercise of companionship and being a sincere concern for others. The company should create a caring environment for its employees, which will eventually bring about a chain reaction among customers and other stakeholders. Now, yung caring na sinasabi natin na to, ito po yung mga nafe-feel natin, no, madalas, lalo na kapag may mga groupings kayo. Pag hindi kaya ng kagrupo ninyo, kayo gumagawa. O kasi tinutulungan natin. Okay? Bakit? Because you are concerned with this people or with this person, and also you are concerned about your grades. You are concerned about your group output. So same thing with the business. Okay? So yung mga empleyado natin, they really exercise compassion. So kahit hindi mo trabaho ginagawa, example, absent yung katrabaho mo. Okay? Tapos may customers. Ayan. Yun yung ginagawa niya. Example, dealing with the customer. So dahil wala yung katrabaho mo, automatically, ikaw yung magiging ikaw yung mag-handle dun sa customers na yun, even though hindi mo yung trabaho. Bakit? Kasi nga, hindi lang naman ito nakasalalay doon sa pagiging concern mo, no, doon sa katrabaho, but also, it can also reflect, no, doon sa business operation ng isang organization. So the management should strive to reach the company goals, which would benefit the greatest number of people without inflicting harm or stepping on anyone's shoes. Okay? And also for number 7, we have respect. It is said that respect is not imposed but earned. Diba? Kung matatandaan niyo yan. Ano yan narinig natin yan sa Pinoy Big Brother. Ayan. Being respectful means being courteous at all times. In all dealing, regardless of rank, each person deserves to be treated with respect without prejudice on gender, religion, or status in life. So, pag sinabing respect, ayan, courtesy palagi yan. Courtesy. A simple greetings every morning. Good morning, ma'am. Good morning, sir. Mga ganyan. So, that is also part of a respect. So, like for example, meron kang idea, ganyan, na gusto mong i-impose. Automatically, you need to top your manager or kung sino man yung spearhead or yung team leader mo. Okay, bago mo ito isagawa. Okay, or bago mo ito i-execute, they always need to be informed. Okay? That's how can you show respect to them. Next naman po, we have number 8, which is obeying the law. So, in obeying the law, all employees should obey the rules, no, ng management or whatever the policies or protocol man yan na kailangan pagdaanan ng mga empleyado natin. Okay? So the management too much never break the rules. Managers should set an example. Yan. Hindi pwedeng mag-set ka ng rules or policy na kung mismong manager or kayo, di ba, hindi nyo kayang gawin. Yan. So be an example to our employees. No? Ayan. And also, management who made the rules should not be law breakers. Ayan. So dahil sila ngayon gumagawa ng law or yung policies, they should not be violated, no? Hindi dapat nila bina-violate yun. Okay? And next naman, for number 9, excellence. Being ethical also means that employees should strive to achieve excellence in all their tasks. Hindi pwedeng mema lang, no? May mai-present lang, may maipasa lang. No. Okay? Kung ano man yung pinapagawa ni manager or kung ano man yung pinapagawa ng boss natin, okay? We always need to give our best. Okay? So the company in return deliver the highest quality product and services and ensure efficient delivery of services. There is continuous improvement in all its processes. So same thing with our kapag nagkaroon na tayo ng business, ayan, we have our own. Kung ano man yung produktong ino-offer natin, okay, make it sure na meron itong quality. Okay, bakit? Siyempre, kung walang quality ito, ang tendency, yung mga natin, customers natin, hindi na sila bibili ng ating product. Next naman po, for number 10, we have being a leader. So, being a leader, so for sure naman may mga naging leader na dito. Okay? This entails leadership by example. Managers should be a role models to establish their integrity and credibility among their employees and even in our customers. Decision should be firm yet flexible based on the situation. There's no such thing as perfect leader. Walang ganon. Okay? Walang ganon. Bakit? Wala po tayong generic na strategy on how to become a leader. Walang ganon. Okay? So, nakadepende ito sa sitwasyon, nakadepende ito kung sino ba yung mga taong under sa'yo. Ano bang klaseng character meron sila? Okay? And that's how you customize your character being a leader. Okay? Now, leadership should be guided by ethical principles and standards as always. Okay? As always. Bakit? Kasi nga po, ikaw yung inaay, no? Ikaw yung tinitignan, no? Ng mga ka-empleyado mo or yung mga tao mo. Yan. Ikaw yung tinitignan nila. So, um, you always be mindful, no, of your action, of your words, or whatever the decision that you can make. Okay? Next po, we have moral. No? When we talk about moral, manager who act enhance the company's image. Being ethical also boosts employees' morale. So an ethical environment gives the company a good reputation and recognition from other companies. This enhanced image of a company greatly helps in the company business dealing. So pag sinabing moral, syempre ano yan parang buong pagkatao ng business yan. Okay? Buong imahe niya yan. Okay, syempre kapag ang business ay nakakagawa siya ng maganda sa kanyang society or let's say nakakapagbigay siya ng mga product na kung saan nasasatisfy yung kanyang market, lalo pong nabubus ang moral ng mga businesses na to. Okay, so dahil boosted ito, automatically, no, yung mga tao na nagtatrabaho sa kanya, okay, it's like a domino effect. Okay? Next naman po is we have the accountable. So being accountable means being responsible for one's action. Whatever it is, there should be acceptance of the consequences of any decision made. So ibig sabihin, mga anak, lahat tayo ay merong choice. There's no such thing as the, quote-unquote, no choice. Okay? Every one of us have a choice to make. So kung ano man yung desisyon na gagawin natin, we are accountable with that. Okay, so manager should stand firm in their decision. There should be no turning back or blaming others whenever a wrong decision is made. Why? Because you are accountable na Okay? So dahil ikaw ay accountable whatever your decision, dapat meron ka ng mga pros and cons sa mind mo, okay? In making a decision. Alright, next we have unethical business practices. So once we talk about unethical, ito po yung mga kailangan nating i-avoid. Bakit? Para po hindi ma-destroy yung reputation ng company na kung saan magkakaroon ito ng bad effect sa business o magkakaroon ito ng bad result sa business. The manager who get involved in doing things that are wrong or dishonest or illegal, obviously they will end up in jail. No? These are the unethical behavior that we need to be avoided because again, it will destroy the business or it will destroy the company's reputation. Okay? For number 1, accounting manipulation. Ayan. Di ba? Parang yan? Sa mga accounting, no? Mga accounting. So the accounting books can be manipulated and financial statement can be manipulated to show a more favorable result of a accounting transaction. The company must hide its true status and present a better picture of its financial statement to investors. So ano po ang status ng business when it comes to finances? Okay, si investor dapat alam nila yan. Okay, it must be transparent, no? And contrary to what is true, the assets are ballooned to the highest level and debts and liabilities are hidden. Okay, so again, in accounting manipulation, bawal itong gawin. Okay, so kung ano lang yung nakasaad doon sa ating business status or magkano lang yung assets or liabilities natin, yun lang po yung dapat na isa-show natin. Wala na tayong dagdag bawas dyan. Okay, next tayo for number 2, we have overbilling. So in here, some service providers are guilty of charging more than the actual price of the service given. Ayan. Overpricing for a service destroy the reputation of service provider and may result in a lower sales for the company. So para hindi tayo magkaroon ng overbilling, ayan, titignan po palagi, no? Titignan natin palagi kung ano ba, for example, di ba sa utilities natin, titignan natin kung ilan ba yung per kilowatts, ilan ba yung per cubic meters, mga ganyan. So, dito, no, kapag kayo ay nagkaroon na ng tinatawag na business forms into service, ayan, making sure po na hindi kayo nagpapabayad ng mga fees, no, na kung saan hindi aware, no? Hindi aware yung ating mga customers. Kasi ang tendency, syempre tayo, sensitive tayo kapag ka nagbabayad tayo ng mas mahal or nagpapadagdag ng bayad, di ba? So, nagkakaroon ng overbilling, no? So, iwasan natin ito para po hindi ma-ruin ang reputation ni business. Next naman po, for number 3, we have misleading advertisement. Ayan. So, yung leading advertisement na yan, if you are familiar with the expectation versus reality, ayan, so nagkakaroon tayo ng mislead customers by making promises which the product cannot really deliver. Sabihin, ito yung sinabi, ito yung nakalagay doon sa advertisement na ito yung features. O like for example, yung mga soap na lang, sabi nagpapaputi daw, ganyan. Pero, di ba, nakailang taon ka nang ginagamit ito, hindi ka pa rin pumusyaw-pusyaw. So, nagkakaroon tayo na tinatawag na misleading advertisement. So, kapag ito yung nangyari, ang tendency, syempre, mawawalan ka lang reputation. No? So, if the companies, again, nawawalan ng reputation, ang tendency, syempre, si customers, hindi na siya bibili or hindi na sila bibili. Next naman po is we have the making false claim. Okay? In making false claim naman, some manager tend to take credit for something like charity works which they actually are not part of. Some vendors, suppliers, or sellers use dangerous chemicals to increase the quality of the product being manufactured or perhaps cut short the production to reduce expenses. These unethical practices are not good for a business. Okay? Bakit po siya tinawag na unethical practices? Because whatever the, parang ano lang to, katulad lang to kung kanina natin eh. Hindi ka pwedeng mag-claim nang hindi naman totoo. No? Like for example, sabi mo doon sa cosmetic product na binibenta mo is hypoallergenic. Pero hindi naman pala. 'Di ba? You claim it in a false. Ibig sabihin, mali. Ibig sabihin, kasinungalingan. Okay? So, dapat hindi tayo nagsisinungaling, no? In terms of claiming kung ano man yung product na to, kung ano man yung information na pinifeed natin. Okay? And next, for number 5, we have customer service failures. Ayan, dapat ito yung hindi mangyayari. Okay? Kasi once we failed our customers in giving services to them, what will happen? Ayan, magiging domino effect ulit yan. Makikilala ka na hindi maganda ang iyong service dealing with your customer. So, the poor customer service is also considered unethical. Okay? So, normally sa mga call center, dapat 3 ring lang yung pinakamatagal. Normally yun. Okay? Dapat hindi mag-i-exceed dun. Kailangan masasagot mo siya kaagad or kasi kailangan masasagot mo ito agad. Okay? Bakit? Kasi may concern. May concern na kailangan i-address immediately. When it comes to tangible product naman, failures to replace a damaged product or not being able to serve a warranty is considered also unethical. Sabi mo doon sa warranty mo 1 year, pero wala pang 1 taon nasira na siya. So, anong gagawin? Okay, kailangan mo siyang palitan. Hindi ka pwedeng maghanap ng kung ano-anong dahilan para hindi mo ito palitan. Okay? And also, failure to refund a complaining customers is also another example, as well as being rude. Okay? So, may mga tayo dyan. Example, credit collection agency who antagonized and treated credit card customer for non-payment of debt damage the reputation of credit card companies and the bank issuing the credit cards. So, pag dumating yung time na medyo stable na kayo or young professional na kayo, ganyan. Ang nangyayari dyan, no? Tendency kapag may gusto kayong bilhin pero wala kayong pera, ganyan, nag-a-avail kayo ng mga credit card. So, once you avail credit card, so what will happen, no? Siyempre ba, may mga dyan, may mga collector na tawag ng tawag, ina-update kung kailan kayo magbabayad, ganyan. So, bawal mag-threaten, no? Bawal takutin yung ating mga customers. Okay? Next naman po is we have number 6, layoff and high executive compensation. Some of the companies are guilty of laying off workers allegedly because they are losing profit. Dahil nga yung mga empleyado na to, yung mga high executive natin, matataas yung kanilang mga sweldo, di ba, ang tendency, some of this company na kung saan nagtitipid, tinatanggal nila o nililay off nila. Okay? Which, again, this is unethical. Why? Because these people or these employees, pwede ka nitong, pwede ka nitong kasuhan. Okay, pwede kang kasuhan yan. And, In reality, no, they are just giving higher salary to their executives. Whatever you are saved from laying off workers are given to senior management perks. Next is the poor quality materials. Ayan, for number 7. In manufacturing processes, poor products may be a result of low quality of raw materials used to lower the total cost of production. Kaya bawal magtipid, no? Bawal magtipid ng sobra-sobra. Pwede kang mag-minimize ng cost, pero wag mong isaalang-alang yung quality ng iyong raw materials. Bakit? Kapag ka syempre low quality yung ating raw materials, kasi wala talagang quality yung raw materials natin, what will be the output? Syempre wala ring quality. Okay? So, victims of this poor or faulty products may file legal action against dishonest manufacturer. So kapag po nag-ooperate na tayo ng sarili nating business, meron tayong mga supplier, and nung nireproduce natin, or let's say nung minanufactured natin yung raw materials galing sa kanila, at hindi nagtugma ito doon sa output na inaasahan natin, no? Because of the fault na yun nga, mababa yung kalidad ng kanilang raw materials, pwede natin balikan sila, or we can file some legal action. Next, good policies and ethical practices in business organization. For number 1, business organization should comply, palagi dapat, with reportorial requirements as mandated by the government agency for ethical practices. So, kapag po mga sole proprietorship, yan, they should be registered with the DTI. Ano po yung DTI? Department of Trade and Industry. Okay? Pero kapag naman po partnership and also corporation, okay, they must be registered sa ating SEC. Yung SEC naman po, this is Security and Exchange Commission. The business owner should also secure barangay and even the municipal clearance and register with the BIR or the Bureau of Internal Revenue. The SSS, syempre sa ating mga empleyado, the PhilHealth, and even yung tinatawag natin na pag-ibig o yung Home Development Mutual Fund. They must remit and comply with monthly, quarterly, and yearly requirements of this government bodies. Usually, kapag po, example, ang hulog ni empleyado ay 300, yan, tatapatan niya dapat yun. Okay, tatapatan dapat ng mga businesses yun. Okay? And next, dapat hindi bumaba doon. Okay, dapat hindi bumaba doon sa naging contribution ng empleyado. For number 2, practice proper office decorum. Yan. Or let's say, kagandahang asal. Okay, kailan ito nangyayari? Employees must observe good manners, such as ensuring that conversation are not too loud. Kaya po bawal maingay, no, sa mga offices. Why? Kasi nakaka-distract tayo ng ibang tao na nagtatrabaho ng maayos. Conversation in the workplace must be kept on professional level as much as possible, and making personal calls must be avoided. Kaya po usually, no, sa mga offices, yung mga cellphone o yung mga smartphone nila, naiwan yan sa kanilang mga locker. Yan, hindi yan pwedeng dalhin, no, doon sa kanilang working area. Everyone must be mindful also of confidential conversation and should not divulge any information that may be subject of gossip or rumors. Ayan. Bakit? Kasi na-entertain na nga yung tenga mo, di ba? Ng chismis. So, I guess in your end, dapat mag-stop na siya or hindi na siya lalo pang kumalat. Lalo na po kapag po ito ay magiging magkakaroon ng bad image, no, doon sa subject person, no, na chinichismis or nang ginagossip natin. Next naman po, for number 3, be sensitive to smells and scents which may be unpleasant to our employees. The management should maintain cleanliness in the workplace at all times. Empty food containers should be properly disposed. Use the restroom, the pantry, and even other offices areas properly. Always keep them clean and orderly. Siyempre, nakaka-dismay, di ba? Nakakabawas ng kaganahan sa pagtatrabaho. Kapag po nababothered ka, di ba, sa amoy mga ganyan. Kaya, as much as possible, no, yung ating working area ay malinis. No? Sa mga company, meron talaga sila dyang maintenance services or meron talaga silang maintenance department. Okay, na kung saan ang trabaho nila is to taking care the cleanliness, okay, ng kanilang mga offices. For number 4, we have the company property or assets are for business purposes and not for personal use. Ayan. So, paano naman po ito nang yayari? It is the responsibility of every employee to safeguard company's property against loss, theft, and misuse. Some examples of these assets are the computers, laptops, equipment, o yung mga forklift, office supplies, calculator, printers, telephone, photocopiers, and other equipment. Also includes some of the software, program books, compact disc, technology list of customers, suppliers, distributors, and other records. So, ngayon, going back to this, kung ano man yung asset na company, dapat hindi natin ito ginagamit for personal use. Okay, like for example, nagtatrabaho na kayo, ganyan. Tapos may pa-project yung teacher ng anak ninyo. Yan. Tapos, hindi ka pwedeng mag-print doon sa office, no? Bakit? Kasi, hindi ang purpose ng mga materials o yung purpose ng mga equipment din is for business operation lang. Okay? So, might as well, you buy your own equipment for your personal use. For number 5, employees should use communication infrastructure properly and appropriately. Example, the use of emails, internet, intranet, telephone, and other forms of communication. Ngayon meron pa namang fax yung fax machine. Greatly helps employees in conducting their duty. However, these forms of communication should be used appropriately. And employees should help in maintaining their confidentiality and integrity at all times. So again, ang paggamit po ng mga communication infrastructure or yung mga ICT, okay, ICT materials or gadgets ng ating pinapasukan na trabaho, ay hindi po dapat ito mapupunta or hindi dapat natin ito ginagamit for our personal use. Diba? May telephone, nakikipag-chismisan ka, tinawagan mo yung friends mo, ganyan. Cannot be yun. Okay? Next, for number 6, employees should always act in the best interest of the employer. Okay, bakit? So that they should avoid conflict of interest, and any personal gain or interest should never interfere with the company interest. So, palaging kapag ka nagde-decide, okay, dapat po magiging benefit ito sa pangkalahatan ng interest or sa business interest. Okay, hindi lang po sa isang interest. Okay? Next naman po, for number 7, there are confidential information that are protected and should not be divulged to anyone outside the companies without proper authorization. So, lahat po ng gagawin natin, lalo na po kapag nakikipag-interact tayo or meron tayong transaction sa labas, we always need to have an approval doon sa mga may posisyon. So, the following example are the confidential information should be safeguarded by our employees. Example, yung mga trade secret, yung mga recipe, example, when you work in a restaurant, or business plans, yan, dapat hindi natin ito pinamamalita sa iba. Okay? Bakit? Kasi ito ay confidential. Ito yung plano para sa business. And even yung pricing scheme, the client list, lalo na yung client list natin, because this is the information of our customer. Yan, hindi natin dapat ito pinamamahagi. Okay? And also the supplier's contract. Okay, the test questionnaires, compensation scheme, yan. Lalo na po yung mga sahod, hindi po yan, pinag-uusapan. Yan. Magkano sahod mo? Magkano sahod ko? Mga ganyan. Hindi. Okay, bakit? Kasi nga, ang tendency, syempre, dahil nagkakaalaman ng sahod, okay, ang tendency niya, magkakaroon ng mga question, diba? Pag nagkaroon ng question somehow, kapag yung empleyado ay hindi siya pleased dun sa kanyang sinasahod, madidemotivate siya. Kaya po ang sahod ay hindi yan pinag-uusapan. Okay? Next naman is, for number 8, all financial accounting records should be accurate, reliable, and truthful. So again, it must be transparent. Palaging transparent po, palagi yan. No? This report should project the credibility and integrity of a company there should be no off-the-record funds or undisclosed asset. So again, dapat laging nilatag yan. There should be no distorted or false documentation, di ba? Yung mga, para lang mabalanse, di ba? Hugot ka ng mga ibang mga, value or amount, yan, para lang mag-balance. Hindi pwede yun. Okay? Now, again, in here again, no, all transactions should be properly accounted for and supported by documents. Financial records should be in compliance with applicable laws. Next, these are the components of Code of Ethics. Okay? So, 5 lang yan. No? These 5 Code of Ethics are the values, principles, management, support, personal responsibilities, and the compliance. So, let me discuss it one by one. For number 1, which is the value, the company values guide the organization internal conduct and its relationship with the stakeholders. Okay? They originated form its corporate culture as displayed by its stakeholders. The values of the company should be expressed with honesty and fairness. The values sum up the company's reputation wherein all interactions are treated with respect regardless of the position and circumstances. Next is the principles. In principles, again, for us to support our value or to support the value of the organization, there are credos that employees should live with during their stay in the company. So, ibig sabihin, si empleyado, kung sinabing credos, naniniwala sila na yung prinsipyong meron ng isang organisasyon ay makakatulong sa kanila. Dahil makakatulong ito sa kanila, ito rin yung kanilang magiging prinsipyo or ina-adapt din nila yung ganitong prinsipyo. The business principle such as a customer satisfaction, businesses, profitability, and even the continuous improvement are just some of the principles that shareholders or stockholders live by. The corporate social responsibility is also another principle found in the Code of Ethics. Okay, remember that. And next naman for number 3, management support. Now, in management support, this means that the management is serious in considering the code as a Bible of employees in terms of ethics. To show support, management always display of this code of ethics in prominent and strategic places in the work area. So ano ito? Para po lalong ma-dictate or lalong ma-feel ng mga empleyado natin na ito yung kanilang code of ethics, na ito yung prinsipyo ng business, na ito yung values ng business. Lagi ka dapat may mga naka-display dyan ng mga quotation, or let's say, dapat laging nakahang yan, laging naka-display sa mga wall. Yan. Madalas dinadisplay yan sa waiting area o doon pa lang sa pagpasok sa office o let's say doon mismo sa mismong office o let's say sa mga pantry. Ayan. Para lalong ma-internalize nila, okay, yung principle ng business. Next tayo. Personal responsibility. Now, in personal responsibility naman, lahat po ng member ng organization, it must be uphold and preserve the code of ethics. Why? Because any violation of the code may involve legal and moral consequences. Each employee should be guided by the code and must report anyone who violates it. And for number 5, we have compliance. All legal requirements of the code should be met. Any licensing requirements, including but not limited to reporting of financial statement, should be met. That's it. Thank you so much for listening and be ready with our recitation.